Good evening and welcome to the World Affairs Council of Western Michigan's 2020 Future of Work series. It's presented in collaboration with the Kent District Library. I'm Michael Vendetta and I'm the Executive Director of the World Affairs Council. On behalf of my colleagues Erica Kubik and Emily Smith and the Board of Directors of the World Affairs Council, I welcome you to this great conversation and timely conversation. Thank you for adjusting with us as we program responsibly during COVID-19. We hope that you stay safe and show grace to those in your community. Council's mission is to empower the people and organizations of West Michigan to engage thoughtfully with the world. We do this with the help of 50 local businesses and 11 colleges and universities. And together we seek to provide programming that is credible, objective, relevant, civil, and compelling. To change the world, we believe, you first need to know the world. And you can learn more about what we do at worldmichigan.org. Tonight, we say a special thank you to our friends at the Kent District Library, who they annually partner with us to support this free informational resource to the West Michigan community. And I welcome Lance Werner, the director of KDL, to share what the library has going on right now. Lance?
Oh, thank you so much, Michael, and it's wonderful to be here. We are certainly proud to partner with the World Affairs Council, and tonight's topic is certainly timely. You know, so many businesses and people have been impacted throughout the world by this crisis. You know, the Kent District Library has 350 employees. They've been working remotely from home, serving over 180,000 patrons. There's been a lot of access of our electronic materials. In fact, circulation of our ebook collection has gone up 68%. And we have a number of databases that have been utilized quite a bit. And we've been doing a lot of streaming programming too. We've had about 150 programs and we've had about 20,000 attendees in our estimation altogether. Prior to the COVID-19 crisis, we began to build workforce development services for businesses and individuals. And we have a lot of things available to that end. We have lynda.com available for software training. We have languages available, language skills available through Mango Languages. We have the Career Online High School program available. It can be done remotely for those that are wishing to finish their high school journey and get a degree. And all these things are free and online. And I encourage you, if you're interested, to check them out at kdl.org. I also want to say I wish everyone safety and good health during this difficult time, and we are certainly excited to and looking forward to the day when we can see you again in the branches and have you be part of the family. And this is my speaking to you today from my home office, which also happens to be the cab of my pickup truck. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you for joining this conversation this evening, and I'll turn it over to Michael. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lance. We are delighted to be partners with KDL, a great organization, and we appreciate all that you do very much. We're pleased to have Attah Obande with us, and we are grateful to him for his flexibility to engage us in this format. He is the director of Dream Fulfillment at Spring GR, which provides a business training experience for people with an idea to start and succeed in their own business. He's a certified success coach and business consultant with a mission to empower individuals to realize their full potential, to envision their highest expression of self, and then design and build their lives. After management experience at 3 major banks, he began his own business, AGO Design Group, and is co-partner of another business, In Fable, an apparel and fashion venture. He holds bachelor's degrees in graphic design from Calvin University and in marketing from Cornerstone University, and a master's in business administration from Cornerstone. After Mr. Obande's presentation, there will be ample time for questions. You may type them in to the YouTube comments section, or you can text them to 616-308-6560. Please exhibit civility to our guests and hospitality to others by asking respectful and succinct questions. His presentation tonight is titled Entrepreneurs' Experiences in the Changing Economy, Local Perspectives. We welcome Attah Obande.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to you and your team, Erica and Emily, for all the support that you guys have given throughout this time. And thank you to the KDL for joining in this conversation as well. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today and share this perspective. I remember getting the call from Emily and being like, man, that'd be awesome. And then of course, hearing the folks that would be sharing as well. Then I'm like, okay, should I be among this crew of folks that should be sharing? But I'm excited to be here again. My name is Attah Obande. And before we dive into the fun stuff, I just want to share a little bit about me. Born and raised in Jos, Nigeria. Left there and came here when I was 18 for college. I'm a proud graduate of Calvin College. Went on to then go to Cornerstone University. Had a fun 10-year career in banking. It was fun, but banking was just not for me. And now I'm doing stuff that I absolutely love to do, playing in the entrepreneurial space. And outside of that, I am a husband and father to a beautiful family. My wife, Alma, we actually be celebrating our anniversary next week, 8 years together. And then we have 5 beautiful children that drive us crazy and make life interesting at the same time. So some grace. You may hear my 3-year-old come pounding at the door at some point during this conversation, but I'm happy to be having this conversation. As a matter of fact, I really appreciate the fact that the World Affairs Council team decided to move forward with this conversation despite this pandemic that we are in. This crisis has really brought perspective to just how we operate, how we live, how we do work. And so in fact, I feel like it has highlighted and brought some extra relevance to the conversation that we are having, seeing as how everything has been uprooted, from work for people, businesses, as well as the education space. Outside of what I do, I also teach a couple of classes at some local universities here. And so now having to switch everything online at the drop of a dime was interesting and challenging. But it's one of the things that we have to do, right? And so as we dive into this topic today, I just hope that I'm able to help bring some context to the work that we do. And I love what you guys always say at World Affairs Council, in that to change the world, you have to know the world. And so my hope is that I allow you to peek into the entrepreneurial world and learn it and know it a little bit better, so that you too can be a part of the change that is happening and continues to happen in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So with that, I've got some slides I'm going to jump into. I love to speak. I love to share. This is different for me in that I love to have dialogue with the audience that I share with. I know that's not going to be able to happen the way it typically does, but feel free to comment in the chat, ask questions, and we'll try to address as many of them as we can during the time that we have together. So with that, I'm going to get on here and share my screen. You guys seeing this okay? All right, let me move this so that I can see. So today, as Mike mentioned, the topic that I'll be talking on is entrepreneurs experiencing the changing economy, local perspectives. So I'm going to be talking about what it looks like for us locally here. But before that, I felt like it'd be important to put context around small business in general. Because I think when we throw the word around, a lot of people don't realize exactly what that is, as well as just how big small business is. So for starters, that's actually where I want to go. All right. So the SBA, Small Business Administration, lists that there are 30.7 million small businesses in the United States. Now, I'm going to do something fun here that along the lines of what our colleague and friend Kristen Sharp did last week, in terms of asking some questions, and feel free to comment in the chat there what you think. So we have 30.7 million small businesses in the United States. What percentage of all businesses do you think that makes up? So of all the businesses in the United States, what percentage do you think that 30.7 million is? I'll give you like 10 seconds to write your number down. And just by definition, the SBA defines small businesses as businesses with less than 500 employees. That is what a small business is defined as by the SBA. So you probably have your numbers down. 30.7 million small businesses makes up 99.7% of total businesses in the US. So that should tell you that a majority of businesses in the US are small businesses. That is, they make up 99.7% of small businesses. Now, I'm going to drill this down a little bit further for us. Come on. All right, let's see. So, well, you got the answer there. 98% of these businesses have less than 100 workers. So again, 98% of that 30.7 million are businesses with less than 100 workers. That's a big number. Now, if you drill down again, what percentage do you think have less than 20 workers? %. So you're seeing that we have a lot more small businesses than people might realize. And the makeup of our economy actually is largely made up by small businesses. I'll do one more. What percentage do you think have less than 10 workers? 78. And this does not include solopreneurs, as we like to call them. So businesses that do not employ anybody at all. If you include that to the number of that are less than 20, you have 98% of small businesses have less than 20 workers in the company. So small businesses make up a big portion of the economy and are part of how our economy lives. So I'm going to say this is just like a breakdown of what the small business share. So 52% of small businesses are home-based, so they don't even have an outside office. We saw Lance working from his home office in his car there. So we got 52% of businesses that operate like that. Maybe not exactly in the car, but you know what I mean. 2% are franchised, 73% sole proprietors. Only 19% of small businesses are actually corporations, and only 21% actually employ people. And then non-employers, you see, are 78% of businesses in the country. So small businesses are extremely important to our economy. And a lot of times we think, small business, we might support them or might think about them during small business weekend and stuff like that. But these small businesses, these mom and pop businesses, small corner stores or little restaurants or businesses that make little artifacts, these are the types of, these are the lifeblood of our economy. So looking again at the impact of small businesses on the U.S. economy. So last year, we had 1.8 million jobs created. 64% of those new jobs came from small businesses. So more than half. Small businesses employ about 59.9 million people. So 47.3% of the U.S. employees are employed by small businesses. They make up 64% of the private sector jobs. 46% of private sector output come from small businesses. 43% of high-tech employment comes from small businesses. Small businesses are responsible, or they export about 98% of exports, and they account for about 33% of the value of those exports. So small businesses have a significant impact. Lance also mentioned how this crisis has impacted everybody. Just again, so you see how much small businesses impact our economy. You can just imagine how this crisis impacts them, and then how that's going to follow up to impact the greater economy. So now looking at business ownership. If we look at women make about 50% of the US population, but only about 30% of small business ownership. If you look at minorities make up 38% of the US population, but only about 25% of business ownership. And then if you look at receipts, so this is a breakdown by ethnicity. So Asian Americans, about 1.6 million businesses. The average receipts are about 290,000. African Americans, 2.6 million businesses, and I'll let you read all the different ones there. But these are this is the receipts that they're accountable, or they account for. But in total, minorities account for only 3% of the total receipts, and this is from 2014. So minorities accounted for only 3% of total receipts, and that number hasn't changed that significantly in the last 6 years. So just to show you again, the purpose of that is just to kind of give you a sense for the climate, right? Give you some context for the work that we do at Spring GR, but then also just for you to get a sense for the world of the entrepreneur, of small businesses. and seeing how they then can impact or will impact our economy. So why Spring GR? Spring GR is the organization I work for, and what we're a business training program. We believe that there's individuals in our community with great ideas for products or services, but they don't have the acumen to make them sustainable. So what we do is we offer business training that gives them the knowledge base and the networks to help them grow and develop their businesses. Our hope and our goal is to close that gap that I just showed you, the gap in women-owned businesses and the gap in minority-owned businesses, as well as the wealth gap as well in that. So bringing this now to the local economy, these are just clips from 3 now almost infamous articles that have come out in our city here, just to kind of give you a sense of the landscape in Grand Rapids. The top one came out March 2018, and listed Grand Rapids as the number 2 city for small business. Now, Grand Rapids is an amazing city. I love Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has come to be home away from home for me. A lot of great things about the city. Number 2 for new business. This was done, I think it was a Forbes article originally, but this is one that came out of the Grand Rapids Business Journal quoting that article. And the stats that they used to determine that, I think we were number 2 to Sacramento, California, was basically receipts as well as approved loans. That was kind of what they used to gauge to kind of rank the cities. So Grand Rapids listed as number 2. The article on the bottom left of your screen there, Grand Rapids ranks amongst worst economically for African Americans. This was an article that came out 3 years prior that basically had Grand Rapids as 51 out of 52 for large cities in the country, behind only or above only Milwaukee. So, and then the article that came out, a couple of months after the top article that listed Grand Rapids as the number 2 city for small business, lists Grand Rapids as 122nd in the US for Hispanic entrepreneurs out of 182. So now this kind of paints a picture for us, right? It paints a picture of the disparities that we see. It's a great place to start a business. What this tells me is it's a great place to start a business if you're white. But if you're black or brown, maybe not quite as easy. It's not impossible. Now, there are a lot of businesses, some great Hispanic businesses, some great minority-owned businesses that are doing some great work in Grand Rapids. So it's not saying you can't do it in Grand Rapids. It's just saying that the journey will be different and it may be more difficult for you. But one thing that we're finding with the work we're doing at Spring GR is there is a climate for businesses in general, minority-owned businesses as well as Hispanic-owned businesses, but it just requires some work and some support. So what we do, we build the capacity of our entrepreneurs. And so we do it by filling what we call these 3 buckets, right? Intellectual capital, social capital, financial capital. And all the pictures that you'll see are businesses that have come through Spring GR. And we focus on how can we help people grow their knowledge base around business? How can they continue to learn about their market, their customer, their industry on a regular basis that helps them to then be better business owners, to help make better business decisions and grow and develop their businesses. The other thing is social capital. How are you growing your networks? We know the importance of network in helping a business grow and develop. So how can we put our entrepreneurs around people that will help them to continue to grow and be successful? I'm a firm believer in the statement that you're only as good as your knowledge base or the people you surround yourself with. Because if all you know is all you know, the only way to get new information is to surround yourself with people that don't have the same information as you. So how do we do that for our entrepreneurs? Put them around other professionals, other business owners to be able to pour into them and to grow, help them develop their intellectual capital as well as their networks. And then ultimately, financial capital. We know that money is needed to grow businesses. We don't lead with money, but we know we'd be blind to say it's not important. So how do we put them in a space and prepare them to be able to handle capital? How do they think about how they can raise capital for their businesses as well? So we'll do this in the form of a 12-week class with one-on-one coaching and a 2-year commitment following the class to walk alongside the entrepreneurs, offer one-on-one coaching, but then also continue to connect them to resources that they will need. We couldn't do this without partners. We know that it takes a whole city to be able to help a business grow. So we have partners where we host our classes at. We've got like Miller Johnson Attorneys who is signed on to do all the work for our entrepreneurs pro bono. We do work with Start Garden, Ferris University, and all these partners make it possible for the entrepreneurs that we serve to be able to navigate the entrepreneurial landscape, so to speak. Now, these are some of the numbers that we've seen since we started. So we have about 490 folks that have come out of our program, total businesses. So half, good number of them are part-time, because a lot of folks that come through are still working their 9-to-5 job and then trying to grow a business. Some want to walk away from that full-time job to run their business full-time, and some want to keep their 9-to-5 and just have the business as supplemental income. Looking at the breakdown, we have 87% of our graduates are minorities and 68% are women. So we are very intentional with, as I mentioned, trying to make sure that we fix some of the disparities that we see in the national numbers as well as in the local numbers here. So 87% minorities, and again, 68% women. Now, our return on our investment. So for every dollar we spend on the program, there's $6.82 in revenue generated by Spring GR graduates. And that number continues to rise with each graduating class. Businesses are continuing to grow. They're continuing to stay connected to the ecosystem. And I want to make sure I point out that this isn't just because of the work that Spring GR is doing. We do our best to connect our entrepreneurs to the other entrepreneur service organizations in the city that are doing work to help small businesses move forward. And we found that with the work that we do, a lot of our entrepreneurs are frequenting a lot of those ESOs more often. And so it's been great to see an entrepreneur leave our doors and go into a Start Garden, go into a Grand Rapids Opportunity for Women, to go into a Local First and continue their business journey and their business development. Now, the landscape of business today, this is something that, I think mirrors a lot of what Kristen shared last week, in that technology is having its effect on the business world, the same way it is in the job world. It's making the world a lot smaller or flatter, depending on which word you want to use. Technology is doing that. So because of that, competition looks different. So back in the day, when your competition as a mom and pop corner store was the other corner store that was, a couple of miles away from you, now your competition is Amazon. It's some business in China that's on Alibaba. It's a global market now that you are playing in. And so you have to be able to navigate and move with the changes that technology is doing. And even with the way that, as she mentioned, some things are being more automated. So it's changing the kind of businesses that can exist. And then also when you look at the landscape of especially how this crisis has hit us now, you think about a gym. 15 years ago, a gym says, we are a space, we have equipment, you come to us and we do whatever it is that we need to do. Well, now that we have this crisis, businesses are having to do things differently. So now how does that affect the way gyms look when we move forward? And I'll get into some of that a little bit later as we continue this conversation. The other thing is business is easier than it was before. I think back to when I started my business back in 2013. I was literally sitting in my house. I'd been thinking about it for a couple of weeks about what exactly I wanted to do. And then one day I got up in the morning, went downtown, registered my business. I had a laptop, I had internet, and that was it. That was all I needed to get things rolling. Then all that followed then was the hustle of trying to build a customer base and build a reputation for the business. But that was all I really needed. I needed a space. I needed a space, meaning like my living room, some Wi-Fi. I went and got me a laptop, and that was it to get rolling. So Wi-Fi and internet allows you to do so much more with business that you couldn't before. Right now, you literally could start a clothing company and never actually hold a shirt. You could run it all just electronically. The other thing is coffee shops now. The way coffee shops have Wi-Fi, businesses don't need office spaces. So maybe you don't want to work from home because you've got 5 kids running around. You go park in an office in a coffee shop, or co-working spaces. The surge in co-working spaces in the last 7+ years, where people are like, I don't want to work from home. I want a more professional environment, but I don't want to have to pay $1,500 or $2,000 for an office space. I can go somewhere and pay $100 a month and be able to co-work with folks and have a conference room and some coffee that I can just kind of keep things going and meet clients at. So technology is changing the landscape, and it's changing the way business looks. Things that we thought you needed to be in a specific place to do, you don't have to now. Since COVID started, I've seen yoga classes, I've seen fitness classes all being done online. And so now these are new revenue streams that businesses have that they didn't think they would need or they could do prior to this. And so now talking some more about the effects of this crisis, everything is good. We're all going about our day. I remember going into work and coming home and kind of hearing, you hear about all the things that are going on. And then I'm home getting ready to watch a basketball game. And then they say, oh, the basketball game has been postponed. I'm like, really? What's going on? And then literally within hours, the entire NBA season gets canceled. And I'm like, okay, the whole season gets canceled. And then just like that, you just see the ripple effect going. Restaurants get shut down, offices get shut down. You can't have more than 50 people. You can't have more than 100, and then everything changes. And so now, as a business owner, you start to think, how am I going to navigate this? How am I going to survive this? And again, as I said, 98% of the 30.7 million businesses in this country have less than 20 employees. And I think it was a 78 that have less than 10. So this is a ton of businesses that now are shut down and either having to pivot if they can do something quickly, or just have no income right now and trying to think about what's next. I've talked to several businesses in the last month about what they're doing to navigate. I spoke to a guy who owns a salon, and all of his stylists done, zero income, nothing coming in. He has a husband and wife that work in his salon. So that's both incomes completely done. And so you look at different relief efforts that have come out as a result of this, which has been awesome to see. That's one of the great things that I've seen with this crisis, is seeing the different groups, the different people, the different families that have stepped up to try to fill in these gaps. But the SBA, the Payment Protection Plan that was introduced within a couple of weeks of when the shutdown started, they released $350 billion that was supposed to help businesses keep their employees for up to 8 weeks. That money was gone within 2 weeks. And so right now they're actually working on deploying some more funds. So I got calls from 2 banks today asking me for names of businesses that had applied and either missed the deadline or were denied. And that's another thing, right? So how are businesses staying attuned to information? Because a lot of businesses aren't getting the money just because they didn't know it was out there. I put a post online today for businesses to say, hey, I need any business that applied for this that didn't get it, or any business that missed the deadline, to let me know. And I still had businesses that said, PPP, what's that? And so these are all businesses that are now missing out on potential relief that will allow them to come out on the other side of this thing. And right now we have to try to save as many of these businesses as we can, because again, they are a big part of our economy. So now that's a national thing, the PPP. Locally, we have the Right Place that had a grant of $1 million to give relief to businesses. I want to say up to $10,000 grants for these businesses. They put it out there, and within weeks, they had more than 2,000 applications looking for more than $50 million in relief, and they only have $1 million to give. Again, this is to give you a scope of the need that's out there for our small businesses. And so we all have a way to be able to help. We might not be able to give grants, but there's things that we can do to help businesses during this time. And then this then brings up the question of what changes can we or will we see as a result of COVID-19? will there be a reclassification of businesses? There's this big talk about what's an essential business versus what's a non-essential business. I mean, we're seeing protests right now because from folks that are saying that they should be an essential business. And it's interesting because I remember talking to people at the beginning that said, man, I can't believe they think I'm an essential business. So, will there be a reclassification of businesses? The other thing that the other question that it begs is, how will spaces be used or be planned moving forward? We see now the importance of, or how viruses can be spread with the distance, right? So there's this 6 feet social distancing. Does that then start to influence how spaces are designed for use? Because people want to prevent something like this happening in the future. Then the other thing, as I alluded to earlier, is how will businesses diversify their revenue streams? Again, I mentioned a gym back in the day would say, hey, I'm opening up a space. I need X number of square feet. I'm going to get this kind of equipment, and I'm going to try to get people in here. But now people are seeing that they can reach people in their homes by creating, workouts for them. So now this, again, as I mentioned earlier, with the world being flatter or smaller, this now opens up your market from your 50-mile radius from where your gym is to now it could be just anybody around the world. So how do we see businesses diversifying their revenue stream as a result of COVID-19? And so this kind of brings me back to it's going to take all of us to be able to help businesses to kind of navigate this time. So there's 2 African proverbs that I love that I want to leave with you guys here. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a business. And so how can we support small businesses during this? If you are still fortunate enough to be working and generating some level of income, can you once a week order food from a business, or order flowers from a business that is still operating, or order cookies, or whatever that might be? And then the other proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it's going to take all of us, again, to try to help these businesses come out on the other side. A lot of people are saying that when we come out of this, we're going to be coming into a recession. But I think the more small businesses we save, the less of a hit I think that recession will be. So with that, I'll open it up for questions or comments. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Attah. Appreciate it. Fascinating. Those statistics blew me away. I had no idea. You don't want to see my worksheet because I would have flunked your class. So far off on those percentages, and it's really helpful for us to know. So, can you talk to us a little bit about how these entrepreneurs, these small businesses, are navigating COVID-19? What can you give us a couple real life examples of what local entrepreneurs are trying to do here and other?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole slew of things. It's been interesting to see, as I mentioned, a lot of businesses have really pivoted, right? I can think of a couple off the top of my head. So I think of a business like Malamaya Juice Bars. So they've been a staple in the downtown market. They moved into Studio Park. Studio Park is going to be this new place downtown that brings a lot of people in. I think they had been in there maybe 3 months, and then boom, this is done. They just added new things to their menu. They used to be just a juice bar, but then they started adding bowls and stuff. And so as soon as this happened, immediately they had to pivot. So they had 2 days to sell off all their food and products and then shift back to just juices that they could deliver. But that quick pivot has allowed them to be able to kind of stay afloat during this time. And you see other businesses like that are doing some great things. I think of businesses like Life Addict Studios. So they're a gym, a membership-based gym that has also transitioned into doing more online workouts as a way to try to keep things going. But really, a lot of businesses, it's one of the things like I'm finding is the businesses that are choosing to stay connected are the ones that are able to do this better. Unfortunately, the reality is there's some businesses that it happens, and you just kind of stick your head in the sand and be like, okay, well, let's wait this thing out. And unfortunately, those are the ones that are missing some of those deadlines for applications for grants. Some of these businesses have applied for 6, 7, 8 different grants and loans right now. And it's one of those hurry up and wait, right? You hurry up to kind of put the application in, and it's like, oh, well, let's see when they let you know. Some folks that applied for the PPP a month ago literally are just getting emails today saying didn't go through. You guys too. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, you can text questions in at 616-308-6560, 616-308-6560, or use the chat availability right there on the YouTube page. So I heard two things, Attah. I heard quick pivot, and I heard staying connected as two very important things for an entrepreneur or a small business to do right now. Are there others besides those two that you can share with us?
I mean, I really feel like those are the primary things, because as I've been connected with other entrepreneur support organizations, the businesses that I know are getting a lot more of the relief are businesses that have been connected. So businesses that are just kind of, because I put it this way, when I used to work at the bank, I take loan applications all the time for different businesses. And as I'm connecting with my customers, there's some things that you will hear from the customer that you don't see in the application. And so when you get an application that's kind of like teetering on, do we approve or do we deny this loan? That piece of information that you got from the conversation, say, well, here's what I know about Mike. He does this, and this. Like, oh, okay. Then that's one that we can approve. So businesses that are staying connected, are getting the information first. Because if you walk into my office and I learn that, hey, this loan, this interest rate just popped up, immediately you can apply, you can do whatever it is you need to do. And then the other thing too is businesses that are willing to embrace technology and use it to solve a problem are the businesses that are being able to pivot. So one of the things that we always tell our entrepreneurs is that every business is the solution to a customer problem. Period. At its common denominator is a business is solving a customer problem. Well, with this crisis, the problem just changed on you. And so we had a live call a couple of weeks ago with one of our Spring Jar businesses, a graduate of our program, I should say, Shannon Cohen. And one of the things that she said that was just really so profound to me was when this crisis hit, and she was thinking about, oh man, like how do we navigate this? One of the things that she said to herself was the same innovation that she had when she created the solution to the original customer problem didn't disappear, didn't die out after she created it. She still has that same level of innovation. So how can she tap into that to now solve this current problem? So the businesses that are looking at this crisis as this is just another problem that I have to solve, how can I look at it from my business, from my customer's perspective, and solve it in a way that helps them? It's not going to solve it perfectly, because right now people maybe want to go to a restaurant and eat. You can't do that. So how can I solve it in a way that satisfies their need for now and allows me to stay in their memory bank, so that once we come out of this, they can say, oh, this company was there for me when I was navigating this crisis as well.
Attah, I got a question here from a YouTube watcher. Can you speak to what the costs are for those aspiring entrepreneurs who wish to participate in Spring GR? How is your program set up financially for those persons?
Yeah, so there is a cost. It is just $100 for the program. We are blessed to have funders that allow us to not transfer the cost to the entrepreneurs. And so entrepreneurs that come to our program, it is just $100 cost, and that cost covers the 12-week class as well as the 2 years of support. One of the things I didn't mention that we also do is we try to take away as many barriers as possible in our efforts to support the entrepreneurs. So at all our classes, we provide dinner and childcare to entrepreneurs, so that they don't have to be thinking about, oh, I'm just getting out of work, because our classes are 6 to 9 in the evening. They don't need to think about, okay, how am I going to get the kids to, who's going to watch the kids or what's going to be for dinner. Bring the kids, have dinner, kids will go get watched. You can focus on developing and strengthening your business.
And then given COVID-19, are you going to open up classes for this coming fall?
Yes. So we are currently running classes right now. So Spring GR literally had to pivot as well, just like everybody else. So when the stay-at-home order was put in, we had just done orientation and we had done week 1 of our 12-week class. So we had 10 weeks left to go, and we're like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And so we huddled and we got together and say, hey, what do we do? And so we reached out to our customer to ask them what they wanted. Say, hey, we sent out a quick survey. Would you be interested in continuing online? And if so, we'll figure something out. And if not, then we'll shift you to our fall class. And we were surprised with the number. Like, I think we only had maybe 3 or 4 people that said, oh, I'd rather be in person. And so we're like, oh, well, I guess we've got to find something. So we took a 2-week break to try to figure something out, found an online platform. And so we've been holding class online for the last 4 weeks. And so right now, the hope is that if things open up, we will have a fall class. But if not, we may just do another online class in the fall.
Okay. And people can get that kind of information at SpringGR?
SpringGR.com.
Okay. Another question, how many refugees and immigrants have participated in SpringGR so far? Any data on small businesses that are owned by refugees, immigrants in the greater GR area?
So I do not have that information right now, but there was a study done on immigrants. And I want to say it was done in partnership with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I'm forgetting the nonprofit that mentioned that. But yes, what's that?
Emeritus?
I believe, yes, that's exactly who it was. But yes, we do. We have had refugees and immigrants that have taken Spring GR. Matter of fact, there's a great story of one refugee that came from the Congo. He worked at Family Christian Stores, or not Family Christian Stores, at Bethany Christian. And his job at Bethany was that when new refugees came in, he would pick them up, take them to all the different social services office to fill out whatever paperwork they needed. And then he would also take them grocery shopping. Well, when he would take so obviously being from the Congo, he would take a lot of the African refugees. And so he would take them grocery shopping. So where do you take them? To Meijer and Aldi and whatnot. And so they're looking for specific types of spices or meats, the exotic fishes, and all these different things. And they couldn't find them. And so he decided one day, he's like, well, why don't I just start my own store? And so he started a Grand Rapids African Market, is right there on 40th and Division. And he's been helping provide them with the food that they want. And in his store has a computer that he helps folks fill out paperwork that they might need. So that's just one story, and we've had others, Latino entrepreneurs that come through as well, other African. Matter of fact, right now we have a couple African immigrants in our current class.
Yeah, great story. Thanks for that. And we were learning too from Bethany Christian Services that refugees from the Congo make up the largest percentage of recent residents of Kent County.
I remember when we first started, I want to say our first year, we were running our pilot program, we got approached by Bethany to ask if we could hold seats open for refugees that they would bring. And we did, but one of the issues was there's a language issue. And so we said, we don't have translators, but if you bring a translator for anybody that does not speak English, then we'd be able to operate that way.
You mentioned earlier about staying connected with customers, and what I've noticed during COVID-19 is that even if you can't deliver exactly the product, right, staying in front of your customers, right? So even if it's a conversational email, no matter what it is, just reminding people that who you are, that you're still there,
yes,
matters a lot, because when we come out of this thing, you don't want people to have forgotten about you.
Absolutely. We had a live call, I want to say about a week and a half ago with some folks from Auxiliary. They're a marketing, graphic design and marketing firm locally. And that was one of the things that they had mentioned, that the worst thing you can do is just stay quiet right now. So even if you don't have a product or service that you can actually offer, how can you get creative and stay in front of your customer? Because even if it's just sharing messages, your customer will appreciate the fact that you gave them some semblance of normalcy in a sense by just being in front of them. So yeah, that's one definite piece of advice that we give to businesses right now is don't allow your customers to forget about you right now.
Attah, what are some helpful social safety nets for entrepreneurs right now to keep them energized and connected and not feeling like they're by themselves out there? Are there specific places they can go?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, a lot of other entrepreneur service organizations are doing live calls like this, to help people either stay informed or just a vent. I know Star Garden started I don't know if it's daily or weekly. It's called Whiskey and Wine, and wine is spelled WHINE. And it's just for people to just come out and just kind of vent. We've done a couple calls at Spring GR that way. I know the chamber does some informative streaming calls as well. Just again, as a way for people to stay involved, to learn. The Hispanic Chamber just had a call as well that they did where they had the president of Hope speaking and sharing some things. So I think that's you can do. You're definitely able to reach out to us at Spring GR. We'd be happy to share any of those upcoming things that are coming up. But just really trying to stay connected, or even just creating a group for yourself. I know Jermel from Malamaya did that. So he just created a Facebook group with like maybe 10 businesses on there. And just on that internal Facebook group, they share information with each other. They learn about something that's coming, they put it out there. Or they just want to vent, they put it out there. And there's just something that is comforting when you're around people that are experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing.
Attah, does the PPP process for small businesses and whatever? There have been some publicity about that. Some of the companies that got those loans. Holy smoke, they're huge, and some loopholes in the process. They were able to apply for it. Whatever. What's your impression of local, state, national laws when it comes to supporting entrepreneurs and supporting small businesses? Is there work to be done there about changing some laws or making just the environment better or more conducive to starting a business, to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I definitely think that there is work to be done there. There are some folks that are doing some great work, which is good. Like one of the things like I'd love to see is there's a lot of some of our small local banks have just done a great job of walking businesses through that process. It's been sad to hear that some of our big banks just didn't do anything. But it's good to see that some of our small local banks have been helping walk people through that. And I think that's one of the good things is as you stay connected, you also get connected to that information to see where are the places that you can go that people will actually, hold your hand and walk you through something. And because it's always going to be like that, right? There's always going to be the folks that are just going to be like, whatever, it doesn't affect me, so don't worry about it. And then you'll find the people that are like, hey, they'll take the time, they'll call you after hours, they'll check on you, and you're like, is this normal? Are you supposed to do this? So I really think just trying to stay as connected as you can is very important.
How can we ensure that minority owned businesses, new entrepreneurs, girls and women, how can we ensure that they can fully participate in creating new businesses, being entrepreneurs? Are there things that we can do as a community that supports those kinds of efforts?
Absolutely. So I always tell people, one thing I always say is we at Spring GR, we do plugs, we don't do shameless plugs. So my plug is go to the Spring GR website. We have a directory of all the businesses that come through Spring GR. I encourage you to support them. I support as many small businesses as I can, whatever it is. I buy all my suits from a Spring GR business now. I don't buy them from any big box stores. So some stuff like that, right? Hiring a cleaning person. You don't have to hire them long term or full time, just one time. Hey, you know what? This week I'm going to hire this, this business to come and clean our house just because. So doing little things like that, I think, is always going to be helpful. I always tell people, give people at least 2 or 3 chances if you've got the patience to, because some things go wrong. I mean, you can go to Meijer and something can go wrong at Meijer, but you're not going to just stop going to Meijer because, your eggs were broken when you got them. You'll be like, my eggs were broken. You go back, you complain about it, and then you'll go back the next time you need eggs. So the same thing with small businesses, give them an opportunity to fail. I remember it got put to me that way, is like a lot of minority owned businesses aren't given the same opportunity to fail that others are. So how do we give our businesses the opportunity to fail? If they mess up, let them know. Let them know what it is that they did, because that's another problem that we see with small businesses. You go to a small business, say, for example, their sign says they open at 8 and you get there at 8 o'clock, they're not there. They come there at 8:15 and then you're upset and you don't say much to them, but you tell the 20 friends that you come across that day that they didn't open. But let them know so it can be a learning opportunity for them, and say, hey, you know what, here's how this came across. Here's how it affected me as your customer. And here's, why, if it happened again, I may or may not come back. But how do you do those types of things? So I'd say, number one, when you do have a bad experience, share it with them in a way that is edifying to them. And then also just try to patronize them when you can. I'm not saying break the bank and spend every dollar of your paycheck, but when you've got the time to break from the norm of going to, Red Lobster this week and go and get barbecue from Daddy P's or something.
So perhaps COVID-19, that's one of the things that this terrible situation can encourage us to do something positive and new, that maybe take this opportunity right now where we're in this unusual time. We have more time to think about it where we go, not just pull into the next place we see on our way home from work, and seek out those small businesses and give them some business right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Question from our KDL partners here. What guidance can you offer to help business owners avoid predatory lenders? I'm sure as you start your business, as you get going, there's plenty of people want to help you, but maybe not all of those people are the best ones. So what advice do you give on that score?
No, absolutely. We it's definitely something we bring up to in all of our classes. What good lenders and bad lenders look like. It's one of those things that it's a lot of businesses are looking for capital immediately, and so when you find yourself in situations like that, it then lends itself to you getting capital that is predatory, right? Interest rates are extremely high. The other thing that we also say is that it shows the importance of planning, right? Because when you plan, you then have the opportunity to not have to make a split decision that then could be detrimental. And that's actually another thing that we've been saying to people, is that this crisis also shows the importance of planning, because the businesses that have had, either good record keeping, have had, definite sound plans, are able to navigate things quicker. I think about businesses that when the whole, when the PPP was put out there, there's certain financial documents that people needed to be able to apply. So the people that have good records, they were able to apply within like minutes. But the people that don't, now you got to go build it, find the accountant that you can talk to if you're not a numbers person. But so we always telling people, maintain good relationships with people at financial institutions. So find a personal banker that you like and have, honest conversation with them, because by and large, they will steer you away from predatory lenders. And if you don't know a banker, talk to a business that is running. they probably have a banker that they talk to, that they'd be more than happy to introduce you to. And so you can trust, hey, if they're working with somebody that person seems trustworthy, there's a good chance that you could probably trust them as well. So yeah, so if you don't have anybody specifically, definitely talk to somebody else. Also, but you can always go into any of the entrepreneur support organizations locally, Spring GR, the Small Business Development Center of Grand Valley, Grand Rapids Opportunity for Women, Opportunity Resource Fund, Star Garden. If you are unsure, 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to tell you if a lender is predatory or not, if you don't want to go to a bank.
Lance, did you have a follow-up question from that? I'm looking at my partner, Lance Werner from KDL. Did you have a follow-up question to that one, Lance?
From your home office?
From my home office, my sunny home office? Not really, but I will say that the library does have a lot of resources, and periodically we've held programs like the Next Nexus program that provide a lot of advice to entrepreneurs about getting funding for their endeavors, and it has a special aim toward entrepreneurs that are people of color. So Randy Goebel, our director of marketing and community engagement, has done a great job setting those up. And stay tuned. You know, we will be having some more in the future. As to when that might be, I have no idea. We'll wait and see what happens. But I've so appreciated your talk today. I think it's so on point and so needed, and we really appreciate the opportunity to partner and to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, I have to also mention that we've done a lot of work with the KDL as well. With every class, we actually have a field trip that takes us to the library. And then we also meet the business librarian, who is a wealth of knowledge at the downtown library there, Steve Asarian. So he's quite a resource, and I mean, always willing to help with people when we send them there. At the drop of a hat, he's there to help and help businesses navigate through some of the research that they need to do.
What are some of the most challenging things for you as you walk alongside a new business owner, a new entrepreneur? And flip side, what is the most fulfilling or most joyful part of that journey that you take with each one of these entrepreneurs?
So one of the biggest challenges, I think, is further highlighted right now with the COVID crisis. There's a gap. There's a funding gap for small businesses. That $0 to $50,000 it's been a challenge that we've seen leading up to this, and then now even more so. So a lot of the grants that have been deployed right now, a lot of small businesses don't qualify for it. So if you're a small business with 0 to 5 employees, 9 times out of 10, a lot of those grants that are out there you haven't been able to get. We are seeing some new grants that have been coming up in the last couple of weeks that are now tapping into that 5 employees and up, and maybe some that might not meet that number exactly. But I mean, I had a conference call with a business that graduated from our program, who has, I believe, only like 3 employees, who was denied PPP, hasn't gotten any of the grants from any of the other ESOs around. And there's no fault of the ESOs. It's just that funding has just not been there. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is how can we help some of those businesses? There are some loans out there. Some ESOs have created loans to help, which is awesome. But a lot of small businesses don't want another payment right now. So finding some of those grants is something that would be extremely helpful for some of these businesses. Some of the most fulfilling things is really just seeing entrepreneurs navigating this as entrepreneurs, because a lot of times you see entrepreneurs that have come through our program, and when they first come in, they see themselves as a person with an idea. But then once they start to live into being an entrepreneur, it just completely changes everything. It changes the way they show up in places. It changes the way they interact with people. It changes how they present themselves and their business. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. it's just a beautiful thing to see when businesses can come out of their shell and then now start to help people. One of the things I love about our program is we start each class with highs and lows. So everybody goes around and say, what's my high from the week? What's my low for the week? And then seeing people that share low and then seeing the folks that come around them to lift them back up. And then now seeing them on the flip side, now choosing to lift others up once they've gone through that. So we see a lot of entrepreneurs creating small circles to be able to help themselves and help others. And that's just one of the things like I love to see, just that pay it forward mentality that comes out of helping each other.
So despite the challenges we have right now with COVID-19, sounds like you're brimming with hope though. There's light out there, there's a way out there, and there will be a path for entrepreneurs here in our local community in the future.
Absolutely. It's been encouraging to see the businesses that have pivoted and then are working to help others pivot as well. So it just tells you that yes, small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy, and they will continue to be that beyond COVID-19.
Awesome. Attah, thanks so much. And how can people stay in touch with you? How can people keep connected with you and the work that you're doing at Spring GR? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on our website, springgr.com, or if you want to email me, you can email me attah@springgr.com. I'm always happy to connect with folks and help point people in the right direction if necessary.
Well, thank you so much for your time with us today. It's been very educational, been enlightening and inspirational too. And we wish you the best in your work going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It definitely was a pleasure.
Great. And thanks to all of you for joining us. It's a second in a 3-part series on the future of work. And we'll be back next week at 6:30 with Dr. Bill Pink, who's the president of Grand Rapids Community College. And he's going to talk about the educational industry connection and how we can work together for a stronger West Michigan. So please join us again on the World Michigan YouTube channel, 6:30 next week. Please stay well, be well,